Hey, what's up, y'all? You are listening to your Mental Matters podcast. I'm your girl, Mo. And for those of you watching, thank you for tuning in. We are back with another episode and a very special guest.
Yes.
We got Steven. I call him Steven. Y'all might know him as STEV.
STV3.
STV3.
Yeah.
I messed it up.
Good.
I'm sorry. But Steve, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately it's Steve, but it's in a creative way. And of course I wanna get into who you are, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
For the audience, who you are, what you do. Let the people know who's Steve.
I am a Brooklyn. I like to call myself a rapper, a artist. I don't even like to say rapper half the time. I felt like when I first started rapping, it was very much like rapper, but like I just like to call myself an artist because I feel like I like to tap into as many things as I can just to be a creative. But I'm from Brooklyn.
Big
I
head?
started, yeah.
You can stand up.
I started with poetry.
Yeah.
Got into like spoken word poetry. And kind of like from there, got into music. One of my boys who was doing music at the time, he told me, like, say, yo, you should turn these poems into raps. And I went into that world of creating and making music, jotting down my thoughts and feelings. But yeah, like just starting with all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, since like 14 years old, probably I've been at it.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing. I was gonna ask, like, what age did that start for you? Like, and I know you said 14. And I think that's so dope, right? Because I feel like 14, like those teenage years are very like significant, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times people are figuring out what they like, what they want to do, what interests them. And it sounds like for you, that's when it started. And like, did you see yourself becoming an artist from that? Because I mean, poetry is art to me, like, right? But like, you know, it's done in a different way.
Yeah.
But did you see yourself transforming in? Because you're a full-blown artist, okay? I need people to understand, right? He's a full-blown artist.
Yeah.
Music is dope, right?
Thank you.
Visuals and stuff that you've put out, dope, right?
Yeah.
So like, did you see yourself at that time, like, kind of becoming who you are now?
You know, when I first got into it, no, not at all. I think it was a way for me to just kind of like open up.
Yeah.
It was very hard for me to express myself or find a way to let things out. You know, growing up and then even being like as a man and things like that, like, you know, it's kind of like frowned upon when you like show feelings and things like that. And even coming up, like, whether it's men in your family, whether it's men around you or friends, like, yo, don't cry. Like, it's, you know, we don't show emotion or the things like that. Like, it became, poetry for me just became a thing of expression. Like, it started with, you know, those regular playful poems, not saying much, but it became more of like expression once I figured out spoken word poetry was a thing.
Yeah.
And how to like perform that and how to express that like through like actions and movements along with your words.
Yes.
So I think the biggest thing for me was poetry and getting out expression.
Yeah.
But thinking that I would turn it into music and rap and like taking it to that next level, and to where it is now, absolutely not. And I'm at a good space and I'm proud of myself and how far I've come, but I still got a lot to do. But I think, yeah, I never expected it to take it that far. But once I started rapping, really got heavily into it, I was like, oh, there's no going back.
Absolutely.
And I just wanted like, it was like a the world is yours type of thing.
Yeah.
So.
I love that. No, thank you for sharing that. And I love that you used it. You used the poetry at the time, right? You getting started, you used it as a form of expression, right? Because I know you were saying like at that time maybe it was hard for you to do so. And I guess I'm curious too, like why do you think it was hard for you at that time to maybe express yourself or be open?
I think I would have like so much on my mind, and like just being super overthinker
Yeah.
already. Like, but I would have so much on my mind. A lot was going on in my life. From like loss
Yeah.
of like losing people in my life, my own personal up and down like health things, and experiencing what anxiety is.
Yeah.
And not realizing like, oh, that's anxiety. That's not like a heart attack or like a or something else, you know, like, and not realizing what anxiety was.
Yeah.
So I think it goes back to like being told you got to be a man. You have to you have to be strong. You have to not show emotion. You have to be like man of the house type of thing at times, and just hide all that. So because of that and being told that, or when I was younger, I cried a lot. Like when I was young, I used to cry for everything.
Yeah.
Then it became a thing of all that being told to me, whether it was guy friends, whether it was, you know, males in the family or whatever, or seeing it and growing up around it. So it became a thing where I held back all those tears when things was happening. I held back so much emotion and feelings that when those times came, it's like now it would be hard for me to cry or not even know how to cry, or I would get so stressed and overwhelmed that it would just bottle up in my head.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to let it out.
For sure.
So I think that's where that was like the root of how it started.
Definitely. No, thank you for sharing. And I feel like that makes a lot of sense, right? Like even especially thinking about like you being from Brooklyn. I feel like naturally Brooklyn is just a tough place.
Yeah.
All right.
For
like,
sure.
I'm a Queens girl, right? We Queens girlies.
Queens.
Shout out to Queens. But Brooklyn, I have a lot of friends, a lot of family in Brooklyn, and Brooklyn is tough. Like Queens is like, I mean, the boroughs in general, right? Being from New York City is a experience that like if you're not from here, you're just not gonna understand. But like Brooklyn is tough.
It's
like
jungle.
listen,
jungle for a reason.
That's what
like, all of New York.
Listen, that's why I'm just like, I could imagine growing up environmentally already, right? You walk outside, there might be, you know, this idea in your head, I have to go outside and be tough. Even if you don't feel tough, right? Even if maybe you're having a day, maybe you just want to cry, but you can't show that because you'll get quote unquote eaten alive, right? Because people outside are, you know, hard, right? Hard as bricks because of life, right? Like for real.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not natural though, right? Like that is not a natural way to be. And you know, that's why they say like, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere because, you know, you are made to endure like a lot, right? And it's like, but I don't know that that's a naturally healthy way to be. So it's almost like you're being conditioned, right, from young to be the way that isn't natural, right? Like naturally, you were a crier maybe as a kid, which is normal, right? But then you're being conditioned not to cry as much, right? Which isn't, you know. And then how does that affect you growing up, right? Maybe now it's harder for you to express yourself, and now you're putting it in. You know, you're doing it in a way that's very creative, like through art and poetry. And of course, that probably like, you know, set you on the path to become the artist that you are. But, you know, it was probably through pain. And I know you mentioned like loss as well. And even before like we started recording, I know you were talking about your friend, right? Which, you know, I want to
phone call.
Yeah. And shout out to, you know,
my boy Buddha.
Yeah. And I want to like get into that a little bit too. Like as far as like the losses that you described, was it that friend that you were talking about?
The one we were talking about
before
before
we recorded.
Yeah, he who got me into music?
Yeah, like I mean, I guess just in reference to like what you were saying with like, you know, some of the like losses that you experienced.
Oh yeah, he was
played a part in, you know, maybe even like just having a lot on your mind and like maybe it being harder to express those feelings.
Yeah, I think I think he was my biggest not first loss, because I had losses before that, but I think him being such like a close friend, and like we called each other brothers, we called each other cousins, like when people seen us and this and that, and we try to get away. We would literally say we were cousins.
Yeah.
And like he was mixed, like because we didn't look like brothers. Skin tones, like I was way lighter, like he was like British, Jamaican, Dominican,
Dope. Fire.
and he was older. He was like 4 years older than me.
Yeah.
And we lived in the same building. He was up on like 3 floors above me. And yeah, I think his passing was definitely probably the toughest, because it's like when you lose grandparents, you kind of know they're getting old.
Yeah.
And the age is coming, and they're in their 80s, or things start to get a little harder for them. So certain things are expected. Granted, none of my grandparents died of old age.
Right.
It was either cancer or something of that nature, but in 70s, 80s. But he committed suicide. So I was home, and I was just heading out to like go play ball and stuff like that, or just go out with 2 of my friends who I told you, Serafina and Mark at the time.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, big shout out. And I just was getting messages of like, and I was like the closest thing to him.
Yeah.
So everybody was hitting me up, and they were telling me like, yo, is it true? Yo, I'm getting text messages or like phone calls that I hit. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like,
right.
And I wasn't like big doing crazy with music, so it wasn't like, no, yo, this person's hitting you up, you blowing up. Like, it was a regular Monday. Today is actually the anniversary of his passing, which I didn't realize.
Crazy.
Because we were even talking about shooting this tomorrow.
Yes.
So we talked last week.
This is long over.
Did it this week.
This is
but like then we were supposed to shoot tomorrow, but then we switched to today.
Yeah.
And then the fact of like my boy Buddha calling me and saying, yo, I just wanted to check in you because, I know today's the day and this and that. And I'm just like, holy crap. And like now we're here talking about it on his anniversary date. So that's wild to me.
Yeah. Listen.
But yeah, his everybody was contacting me, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. This and yo, did he pass? This and that. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. And I'm texting him, I'm calling him, he's not answering. And then fear was in my mind.
Yeah.
So I'm not going upstairs to knock on his door.
Right.
And I was young, like, and I was probably like 18 or something at the time, 17 maybe. And then I go downstairs. I'm checking like Facebook. It was super popping at that time. So I'm checking Facebook. I'm seeing things. I'm reading things.
Right.
And apparently, even at that time, he was saying some stuff on Facebook.
Okay.
But we all thought it was related to him wanting to take this vacation because he always said he wanted to go to Brazil. So he was like, had like this like countdown, like 5 more days, 3 more days. But like, come to realize, it was probably the countdown of his passing. It's like doing a whole study, like going through all the stuff, like what happened, where did this start, blah blah blah, like. And I think the thing that beat me up the most was that 2 days before that, he asked me to hang out, I think the day before his passing, and I wasn't able to. But I saw him like 2 days prior in like Barnes and Nobles, just randomly. I was like, yo, what's good, bro? He's like, yo, what's up? And that was my last time seeing him. So I didn't get to hang out with him that one day, but then I ran into him. I just ran into him randomly.
Right.
And, you know, he lives in my building, granted, but we were supposed to hang out. And then me running into him was like, whoa. Like, it was just interesting to me, just how everything played out. And then all of a sudden I go downstairs. I'm going to knock on my other boys' doors to see if they were told about it too.
Yeah.
And I see one of our friends, and she's in my lobby, and she's crying on the stairs. So as soon as I come downstairs and see her, I automatically knew, oh, this might be for real.
Yeah.
And then while I'm going to my boys' house to tell them or find out, like, hey, did you hear about this? I hear fire trucks. I hear ambulances coming and things like that. So he was like one of the biggest creative people for me. Yeah. He did football, art, you know, made book bags out of cereal boxes.
Wow.
Like, he was just super, super creative and did everything. And went by the, you know, his artist name of R.I.O.T. And that's why my Instagram name is R.I.O.T. And yeah, that was sorry for the long explanation,
no,
but that fine. Was the that was one of the biggest hard-hitting passes for me, especially him taking his life the way he took his life. Which I'm not gonna get into, but yeah, that one was really, really hard for me, and I kind of didn't know how to proceed and move forward.
Yeah.
After losing him, because he got me out of my house, out of like a lot of when I wanted to get out of my house and this and that, and he's the reason why I figured out I loved basketball, or I loved like handball and football at the time, and then I loved just other ways of being creative.
Yeah.
And he's the reason for me being able to know all that, and he's the reason that he got me out of, you know, at times where I didn't want to be home because of like certain things, and I just needed to get out.
Yeah.
And he was the reason for that. And yeah, that was just super tough to this day. And everything I do, I always like wonder like what it would have been like if he was here with me as I'm doing all that I'm doing, because he was my right hand.
Yeah.
So like he would have been here right now, like watching this episode, like just chilling like over there, you know, type of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing. And of course, like, you know, I'm like sorry for the loss, right? Like there's a sadness that I feel like exists like after hearing that. Because I don't even think I knew that about you, right? And we've been cool. Like we've been friends for like some years now, right? Like, and that's the whole thing. We didn't even do like, we already in the nitty gritty of the show, right?
Yeah.
We didn't even get into
for real.
Like how me and Steven know each other.
Yeah.
And all of those things. But I think us knowing each other for like the amount of time that we have, which has been years, right? I don't know that I knew that you had a friend that died by suicide, right? Like I think, you know, I think that's actually one of my fears, right? Like I think for me, which I don't know if I've ever said that out loud, but I think it's a new fear, right? That like I have someone that like is like in my life and they choose suicide, right? And I'm not able to try to do anything. Like I'm not able to do anything to intervene. Like I think that's a fear of mine just because I don't know how I would be able to like navigate like afterwards. And so I could imagine, I think, and also it's, for me, it's touchy because that's the work that I do. For me, it would like bother me, right? And I think for anyone who's experienced it, because I know people who have, you being one of those people, I could imagine at 18, 17, 18, it's confusing, right? It's like, you know, and I don't know that we had all of the language that we do now around mental health to be able to like, talk about like when someone chooses that, it's not a reflection on you, right? It's never anything that like, there's not anything that you could have done differently.
I definitely went into a place of like blaming myself.
Right.
But I think it was only because the more of things I found out after of like he was actually planning it for years. And I think that's the thing that like kills me the most, is because like I was with him.
Yeah.
All those years, sleepovers, hanging out, going out, doing graffiti, doing all this stuff, like.
Yeah.
And to like not, and he put that smile on, and a lot of times you don't know what's, like, there's a lot of pain behind a lot of people's smiles, you know, and you don't realize.
Yeah.
But yeah, long story short, like we found out he had wrote some stuff down and things like that, and did some other stuff, but out of respect for, moms and stuff like that, his mom's things,
of
like,
course,
different people, like, but he definitely was planning it for a few years.
Yeah. And that's where it's like, I think it's a personal decision that someone makes, where it's like, even if there were things done to intervene, it still could have gone that way. You get what I'm saying? And that's where I always like, for people that I know who've experienced it, or conversations that I've had, because there are suicide prevention, like, kits and techniques and like programs and different things that people are doing now to prevent suicide. Because at one point it was like one of the like leading causes of death.
Yeah.
At one point in this country. Yeah. So I think it's something that happens like a lot, and so it's a thing where, if someone chooses that as, that's their choice, then, you can find rest in knowing that, like, they were in pain, like a deep amount of pain, and they felt like that was the best option. Right. That was the best solution, best option for them. But that's a hard thing to navigate, I'm sure, and I think, rest in peace, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
R.I.O.T, right? And I think, it being his anniversary today is crazy. I'm like, about to cry over here. Like, I'm like, I'm over here on the brink of like tears, because it's just like, what are the odds,
Yeah, that was crazy, because I always remember too, and I was thinking about it earlier this week, but I think after like, just like the events I was at this week, and then today, I think my mom was so busy, so it slipped my mind, and then he calls me, and I wasn't gonna answer his call only because we was about to get started and get settled, so I was like, let me just text him, and I was like, nah, let me answer. And then I answered, and just like him saying, "Y'all, just want to check on you because I know today's that day for David," and things like that, right? Yeah. So yeah, I was just like, wow. Yeah. Insane.
No, for sure. For sure. I think that's a beautiful thing. I mean, if anything, I feel like that's confirmation, or like an affirmation that like he's with you, right? Like he's with you, he's supporting what you're doing, right? And you get to kind of even like big him up, kind of honor him through what you're doing right now. Yeah. So
jeez.
Listen, it got heavy real quick. It got heavy immediately, right? Like, that's immediately. We didn't waste time, right? And so, so let's get into, right? We're going to switch gears just a little bit, right? Because we didn't even get to, I guess, tell the people how we know each other. I mean, if you guys have tuned in, if you've been tuned into the podcast since like 2020, right? With the first episode, I'm sure we've talked about it, right? Me and Steven know each other from church, right? We essentially met at church, kind of grew up together in church a little bit, like, because we were kids back then when we first met. And so we know each other through church. We became pretty cool there. We have like mutual friends and stuff that we're also cool with from the church that, I'll say me. I don't want to loop you in, but that I once was a part of, right? Right. And so, yeah, I feel like, Steven was one of the cool ones, right? One of the cool people that that I had the pleasure of connecting with. And, as you can see, we're still kind of, we're connected, to this day, and get to kind of like, talk to the people, right? About like, the dope things you have going on. And, yeah, I feel like back then when we recorded that podcast, like Steven saw me very early on in my podcasting journey.
Yeah.
When we was over here doing Zoom
calls and COVID.
Zoom calls and COVID, right? Just to get the message out there around like mental health. And, I appreciate you for just, recording with me at that time. Anybody who was with me during that, like that journey, at that time, like it meant a lot to me, right? And I don't know that I knew I would still be doing it like today, right? And in studio, and it would have flourished how it did. But if it wasn't for your episode with me back then, being a part of it, we wouldn't be. We wouldn't be. That's one of them ones, right? That got
stepping stones to like all those episodes that built up to this moment.
Exactly. That's how I look at it, right? Like, and then it's full circle moment, right? We spin back, right? And we get to kind of give life updates, right? Like what's new, what's going on. So, yeah. So if I never told you that before, I appreciate you for having that conversation with me back then. And it was very raw and like,
I think I hit you up too, like, yo, you still
listen.
Because I feel like at that time too, like a part of me like needed it too, and I was just like, I was like, yo, you still doing your podcast? Hey, let me know like if you're doing upcoming episodes. Like I'm down, this and that. And then this time around, you was like, yo, I need you on the show again. We need to do this the right way.
Yes.
So
full circle.
It was super dope.
Yes, absolutely, and so yeah, let's get into, because we kind of got into like. We kind of just went right into like just, some stuff about you, right? And we're going to keep it going, but I want to do a mental health check-in. Every episode, I do the mental health check-in just to see like, how have you been doing overall, right? Like it's a new year, right? Where it's February. We just getting into February, but like overall, how have you been doing like mentally and emotionally lately?
I think it's like, you ever have like, when people see you and they're like, hey, how's it going? And you do the pause like, it's good. Like, I feel like it's been like that a little more often than not.
Yeah.
I want to, like, those times where I want to be like, yeah, it's great. Like, I feel good. Like, but it's been up and down. I have good days and bad days. I think I'm just at a place where I just want to like feel happy more.
Yeah.
I feel like when I think about it, I'm like, am I happy like every day, or am I more down certain days? I'm very like aware and reflecting on those things a lot. So I'm always thinking about it. And I think that's one of the things, like I just want to find ways to be happy, do more things.
Yeah.
Be productive, do things that I never maybe have done before and like was hesitant on doing. I'm just like super hard on myself. So I'm trying to find ways to not be.
Yeah.
And I'm just like super, like I like making music and just going after it. Like I want to bring everything to the next level. Like I'm always trying to find ways where I can, okay, how can I make this show better, or what can I do to make my music stand out even more, or what can I do better with this video, or so I just want to be at a place where I feel like I'm happy with it, physically, mentally, emotionally, everything. At the end of the day, I always try to just be blessed, and for the fact that I'm here, nothing too crazy going on, thankfully, and just being blessed and realizing like you're able to pursue what you love. You may not be where you want to be, but you're also in a place where a lot of people wish they were.
Yeah.
So kind of like accepting that and making light of that too.
Yeah.
And just knowing like, hey, you're somewhere, and just like keep elevating, keep progressing, and trying to be more grateful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. Gratitude, right? Like gratitude, I feel like it goes far, right? And sometimes it's like, I believe in like faking it till you make it, right? Like like my clients, I'll be telling them that all the time. Like, and that sometimes is how you fake it till you make it is through affirmations, right? Like maybe you don't feel as grateful this week, right? But if you are reciting affirmations to yourself and saying, I am grateful, I am grateful, I am grateful, your brain is going to take that information, and then all of a sudden one day you're really gonna be grateful.
I gotta
Like
try that.
Literally, it works, right? It's literally like research.
Really, it does?
Research supports this, right?
Yeah.
Like what you tell yourself becomes the reality, right? So if you're constantly saying like, yo, I'm ugly, I'm fat, right? Like I'm all of the negative things, your brain is like, absolutely, right?
You're gonna start eating more. You're gonna
Listen,
start like you become real ugly and fat.
you lean all into it, right? Like I'm fat, so I gotta eat this pizza, I gotta eat this box of pizza, and I gotta eat these brownies to, and that's why I think like, I guess maybe, and I don't know, like if we think of like some of the like really, really successful people, like what their method was, right? Or what are some of the things that they did to get to where they was? I think it started with the mindset shift first, right? And a lot of times that's what it is. It's like the mind over matter part. Like it's harder to like grasp, like get a hold of those thoughts first. But as soon as you're able to do that, you'll like, I think you start seeing things manifesting in your reality that like, you're
That's
like,
real.
oh wait, how we got here? Oh shoot. Like I just changed like how I was talking to myself, what I was thinking. And I think it's hard, right? Because if we look outside in the world right now, like look at our political climate. Like it's a movie right now. It looks crazy. Like when we look outside, it looks insane. Like there are things to feel like fearful of and be worried about and not feel grateful about. But if you trick your mind and you're like, nope, there's so much to be grateful for, all of a sudden you'll start seeing it and be like, you know what? And then, then your mood changes naturally. And then you're like, you waking up every day a little bit more positive, a little bit more happy, a little bit more whatever, right? So that's kind of what I would, say for that, which I tell my clients that. So I'm like, tell my audience that too. Listen, fake it till you make it.
That's real. That's real. Because I feel like even with my music, I feel like at my point where everything was picking up and shooting the most was at the time of where I was believing in myself the most, where I was shifting my mindset, and it was just like, go get it, do this, like locked in fully. So
absolutely,
that's a real thing.
Yeah, yes, and I want to talk about the music, right? Like, I definitely want to spend time talking about the music because I feel like, that's a major, like, that's a thing that's like that you're passionate about, that you're really like putting like effort into, right? And so I guess, how are you feeling about your journey with music today, right? Like if you're able to look back and reflect on like just some of the things that you've done, right, to get yourself to where you are now, like what are your thoughts about it? How do you feel about it?
The journey has been crazy. I gotta stop saying and like, just looking back. You ever be talking, just look back, it's like, ugh.
Listen,
but
it's okay. I do it too.
It's been crazy, but it's had great times and it's had extremely tough times.
Yeah.
Right now, it's some extremely tough times, but like, it's been just so up and down. There's been like a moment of just going crazy, good. Then it shoots down, then up, then but then you realize, like, nobody's like safe from this type of thing. You're gonna experience ups and downs.
Yeah.
The high points, the downfalls. I think one thing I spoke to my cousin about, Papo, His real name's Renee. We call him Papo's family thing.
Mhm.
But like, his thing was, yo, you're kill. Like when he saw me meeting, when I met Jadakiss, when I met Maya, and when I was meeting, I forgot who else it was that I had met.
Shout out to Jadakiss. I love me some Jadakiss, and I love Maya too. Okay.
Yeah.
I had seen Jadakiss in person, and I was starstruck. You know,
No, me too.
I could not move. I literally was staring at him, and he was looking at me like,
"You good?" Jada is, first of all, Jada is for real one of one. But
yes, it's GOAT.
I think that was the first person. Shout out my boy Paul Flacco. He was one of the people that I met, like for real, like probably the first real celebrity like I met, like one-on-one.
Right.
And when I tell you, I was like, I was fine. But then when I got there and I'm right next to him, I'm like, the heck is happening to me? Like, I was like low-key shook, and I didn't know what to say to him.
Yeah.
But thankfully it all flowed out.
Yeah.
And it prepped me for like when I met Maya.
Yeah.
Smooth. Like, and Maya was super cool, super humble.
She's like a legend. I feel like she's a legend. Like, I don't know if people would call her a legend, but I feel like Maya's a legend in her own right.
Absolutely. A legend. Absolutely. And she was so like graceful, like super nice, amazing, had a conversation.
Yeah.
I told her I did music and things like that. We talked about it, and then she told me to give my info to her manager.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a great convo. There was a lot of haters when I put that picture on Instagram.
Oh, of course.
But and then some people was just like, yo, I remember one comment said, you are every man's envy right now, or something like that. Every man's dream meeting Maya. She's one-on-one too.
Listen, you know you're doing something right when they hating. Okay?
Yeah. So I think
I was super proud of you too when I saw that. I was like, I know that's right.
Oh man.
That's what it's about. It's like getting in like in their faces, essentially. Like getting in front of them, getting in their faces, being able to talk to them, rub shoulders, right elbows with them is like, you know, I feel like that's so important. Like
super.
Even, and maybe we can even speak to that too. Like how important would you say networking is for what you're doing?
Super important.
Mm-hmm.
I'm realizing I networked so much before, but I would stay in the studio, or I would stay home or book studio sessions, and I'll just be in the studio making music, releasing music, promoting, marketing, doing things like that.
Yeah.
But I caught myself not being out anymore. And I realized you could be making music at home and release, and it could blow up or something cool.
Yeah.
But also, a lot of the people you want to meet, or a lot of people you want to get close to, are out as well.
Yeah.
And the only way to meet those people or get connected from this person to that person is by being outside.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it in like the Brooklyn way, we outside, like just literally like being outside and going to events, you know, speaking with people, having conversations.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just genuine stuff, like genuine conversations, genuine. There's a lot of people out there looking for something, of course. But you building genuine relationships and letting people know you, and people are, when people see you more at every place, like there's been events and stuff where the same people will see me over and over at this place or that place, and they're there, and they're like, yo, weren't you at this spot or so, aren't you?
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, bro, good to see you again, or anybody. So I think networking is super important, and recently I've been out a lot more, and it's just been doing a lot more for me. So
absolutely. I love that. I think that's so important. It's key, right? And I think networking, particularly in the music industry, right, like the entertainment realm, is important. But I think even in general, like if there's something that you want, like whether it be career-wise, even with relationships, right? Which I know, you know, I'm gonna just talk about me because I'm very single. Y'all know this. I'll be talking about this every episode. Every time we record. Every time we record, I'll be having to tell the people, I'll be having to remind them, I am single.
I'm just thinking about when we was outside not too long ago, but
shout out. Listen. Shout out to any future prospects, okay? I play too much. I play a lot.
You are a clown.
Listen.
Oh my gosh.
Listen, I gotta have fun with it
Yeah,
to
you
keep
have
myself from crying.
Yes.
Okay?
Absolutely.
But even for the girls, right? For the girls and the guys, right? If you're single,
Yeah.
but you in a house every night, every day, right? You don't go out. You don't go out to eat. You don't go to the bar. You don't necessarily have to go to the club. You don't have to go, but putting yourself in a position to where you could meet someone, right, would be beneficial. Even more so, right? Where now, music industry, it's intentional, right? Like you're putting yourself in rooms with people who are also doing the same thing as you, right?
Yeah.
Making music, right? Whether it be sometimes whatever A&Rs, right? Whoever the people are, producers, right? The people who can like connect you, right? To where and who you want to be next to and stuff would be essential, right? Same thing even with podcasting, right? Like if I, want to meet other podcasters, do collaborations, partnerships, sponsorships, connecting with those who are like well connected and tapped in would benefit me, right? So I think that's what it is just like, putting yourself out there is important for sure.
Really important. It's a big thing. And I'm learning that more and more. You could just have a simple conversation with somebody, just meeting them, and like they go off energy, like like being at well, we know Fair. That's shout out Citizen B, but being at Citizens events and like just being with him.
Shout out Fair.
And just us like growing up together and just recently like working together a little more, like us being in the studio this week, us being at like one of his other events and then this event, like just doing that and meeting you meet people of pure just energy because they see your vibe or they feel it. Like they'll feel your energy. They feel this and be like, I want to know that person. Or like, I like their energy, or I like how they're just being. Like I'm like smiling, singing music or something while he's DJing. I'm next to him, like, and I'm like his hype man too, low key on stage, because like he's a killer. Like he's just a beast with it. I'm so proud of him.
Yes. Absolutely.
And he's come so far. Shout out Eddie too.
Shout out Eddie.
Because Eddie had started it, and then Citizen went.
I remember that.
And kept it going, and now Eddie's getting back into it again. But like even when he was doing events, they were like locked in together, like at events together.
I remember that.
But even just these events, and I'm just like listening to some music with him, meeting people with him, or like talking and just rocking with him. I see people and they're just like, "Yo, what's your name?" Or like, introducing or whatever it is, and they're like, "Yo, you mad cool? Yo, what do you do? You just his boy or this and that?" And then they find out I do music.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, you do music?"
Yeah.
And they want to know, and they see you with somebody, whether it's just friends, and they see the energy and all that, and they want to know more. And they find out you do something that is kind of like in the same realm of what they might be doing.
Yes.
And they're like, okay, I need to know more.
Yeah.
Because his vibe is cool, and now he does this too, like what I do or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's very important.
Absolutely. It's extremely important. I think it's just like that, right? Especially in New York City too, right? Like I think crazy thing is New York City is, I mean, I feel like on the outside looking in, it seems like New York City is so big, but living here, you realize people are more interconnected than you would expect. Like people know people who know that other person, right? Like it's very much so like small, right? That's why it's like, gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. And I think it's also important to make sure you have a good reputation, right? Like that's something that has been coming up a lot lately in conversations is like, what's your reputation like, right? Like if you were to run into the same person that you ran into last year, right? What would they say about your interaction both times? Like, are they able to say like, yo, I met this guy last year. He was so cool. Good seeing you again, and want to still be connected? Or are they going to be like, nah, like the interaction was mad weird. I hope he not on that this time, right? Like, especially I feel like with industry related stuff, I feel like that's vital, right? Like people being able to say like, yo, this person's energy is so pure and like infectious. Like I want to be a part of it and just help them because they're just a good person, right?
Yeah.
Like it's so important to be that nowadays, and a lot of people don't have that. Like there's a lot of people, they're like far and few have it. Some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't have it. That's why them opportunities might be just passing you by because your energy is poo-poo. You gotta clean it up.
That's for real.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people that don't want to mess with certain artists I might know
Yeah.
or know of
Yeah.
strictly based off personality or energy.
Mm-hmm.
And like they'll rock with me just strictly personally off of like, yo, you mad cool. Like you want to
Yeah.
come over here? And it's not like I'm doing it to be,
Right.
that's just how I am.
That's you.
So like, and I feel like that, like you, I don't know, you can't, you could try,
Mm-hmm.
but like certain energies and certain like vibes and the genuineness, you just can't
teach.
Like you'll know, you'll feel it.
You'll feel it for sure.
If it's real or whatever it is, when connecting with those people.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. And that a lot of times too is even how some of my podcast guests and stuff. Like I've had people reach out to be on the show and I was just like, it just doesn't feel like, it just doesn't feel like it just doesn't feel right. Like it doesn't necessarily feel like we should do this.
Right.
And maybe it's an energy thing, right? Because I feel like I'm a good reader of energy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's been far and few. Like most people who want to come on the show, I'm like, please, right? If you want to talk about just your life and like mental health, I'm always welcome. But there's been far and few where I was like, it just doesn't feel like we should, right? And it's not a personal thing. It's just an energy thing.
Yeah. Because when you sit here, it's going to be like, is it flowing or is it just awkward? And it's like, because you feel like the energy kind of like messing with it.
Exactly. Absolutely. So I think there has to be a certain level of like purity there for sure in anything, right? And anything that you want to like just grow in, right? Just make sure you're checking your own energy. I check my energy all the time. Like sometimes I'm not in the best spirits, best mood. When it comes to like recording and putting the pod out, I gotta check it immediately because it's like, no, I'm doing this for a greater purpose. I'm not like at this point. That's what I'm like. There have been some episodes I've come on here, and it might be one of them days today where maybe my wardrobe wasn't the best. Maybe I wasn't feeling the greatest. But
got me peeping out wardrobe like,
listen. First of all, Steven look fly right now. He look like
thank you.
The fit is fit check. Okay, he got the Timbs, giving very much so Brooklyn.
It's cold outside.
Listen, and there have been moments where I was like, I don't feel the best. Maybe I don't look the best, but my energy will always be what it needs to be when it's time to record, right? When it's time to record, because I feel like it's like, and that's why I always say like when you really like want to do something, like I ask myself like all the time, like why am I doing what I'm doing? Just to remind myself, like, in those moments where I get tired, where I'm like, oh, I don't feel like doing it this week, right? Or it's like, I don't want to talk. Like, I just want to be quiet. It's like, no, actually, you can't, because it's bigger than you at this point, right? And I think that kind of ties into like spirituality for me, right? There's like a spiritual component to why I do what I do, where I feel like it's somewhat of like a calling, where it's like, I'm not just doing it because like for fun, or I'm not just doing it because I want to help people. Yes, that's a part of it. But I also feel like it's a part of my purpose and my calling. So I kind of wanted to ask you, like, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like when it comes to like your music, the things that you're passionate about that you're doing, do you look at it in a spiritual sense at all? Or do you feel like it's tied to like your purpose or like a greater thing?
That's a great question.
Thanks.
I feel like at first, I never thought of it like that. It was always like for me.
Yeah.
It was always just a thing of, like I said, expression and getting things out. And even like writing certain songs that is like, I won't say like names in the songs and things like that to like fully expose it, but I'll write that song and I'll be telling a story from a place of a situation or a place of a moment where I felt something. And that's me, letting that out there.
Yeah.
Like, that's out, that's there, now I can move on.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like as time went on and like my music started growing, a lot. Shout out to the fans, shout out to the people, and just the support. But I feel like as the music started growing, and people started giving me the reasoning why they liked me as an artist, or the reason why they liked me, liked my music.
Yeah.
And what I was saying and the feeling behind just how I would rap, or like the way I was portraying the music, the way I was putting it out there, just the feeling behind that.
Yeah.
It was just like big for a lot of people. And the stories I would tell and things like that, it did things for a lot of people where they were like, yo, this made me feel like this because I was going through this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang. But sometimes that's how it happens when you just do something that is for you to better yourself. Then you realize you're bettering others.
Yeah.
When you put it out there, you make it public, you don't hide your talent. You don't hold back your talent. Sometimes you need to put your talent out there, not only for you, but for the benefit of others.
Yeah.
And I learned that because I'm like, wow, this is helping other people, not even just me. They're just like, man, I've been wanting to say something like that, and you said it. And it's coming from this place of just raw, like I said, genuineness and just real feeling. And they're taking that and they're like, it's bigger for them.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're speaking now for people who feel like they can't speak for themselves.
Yes.
And I think when I've had people call me or text me and tell me they've cried to my music or certain songs, granted, the way I'm talking about my music right now, my music is not just sad music or something. I have like, I just do all
you got
types.
Some bops, okay?
Yeah.
Listen.
So I don't sleep.
Yo, we should have had something queued up so we could play it for the people.
Oh, that would have been fire too.
All right, can we do that? Can we queue something up or not?
It's all good. We'll give them a link.
Yeah, the links and all will be in the bio. But if we could queue something up before we
or even at the end of the pod, like if anything while talking, you could play something at the background.
Listen,
at the end of it too.
Yeah,
whatever you want to do. But I feel like that was like, oh, he's trying to figure it out. I feel like that's such like a big thing, and I think when people have had songs where they just really felt it.
Yeah.
And that they've cried or called me crying or sent me voice notes and this and that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, that song did something for you. And it helped you in some way because you're releasing it and getting it out there.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be vulnerable and put it to the public.
Yeah.
But when other people are calling you saying it helped them or it saved them or it's pushing them to move forward, and you hear like the emotion behind somebody and this and that, then that's when the spiritual part comes out that you're talking about.
Yes.
And then you realize, oh, like this is for a greater purpose.
Yeah.
This is for more than just like me.
Yes.
So, and I've had people, even when I thought about quitting music, people tell me, you can't stop.
Yeah.
Like, you have to keep going. Like, I've been told this is your calling. You're meant to do this. Like, so.
I love that.
Even in those moments, I'm just like, dang, okay, got it,
Noted.
So, yeah. And God has talked to me too in those times too, of wondering if I should continue and things like that.
Yeah.
And if I need to shift one day, then I shift one day. That's not the plan. A lot of artists have moments where they're like, I'm done with this. I'm not going to do this anymore. But it's just emotion and you're just in that moment.
Yeah.
If you really love it and things like that, you're not going to stop.
Yeah.
Even if you start pursuing something else, you're always going to come back. Look at Will Smith.
Listen.
He was over here making movies and doing this and that. This dude has been dropping songs like every month with all these different artists.
Yeah.
So when you love it, you're always going to come back to it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to find your way back. Absolutely. I know that's right. Yeah. No, I love that. No, thank you for sharing this, Stephen. Yeah, and I know you mentioned God too, which we kind of started on early on talking about too, like us meeting in church and stuff. Like, how important is like God to you, or like, you know, having a connection or relationship with God?
I think it's very important to keep you grounded.
Yeah.
I think you have to like find your own personal relationship with God.
Yeah.
My mom taught me a lot about God.
Mm-hmm.
Even the way my grandmothers were and things like that, or like certain women in my life, and of like family and just being taught and growing up on certain things. It was instilled in me
Mm-hmm.
from the get. Like if there's one thing you knew like growing up, is like you knew about God. Like
Mm-hmm.
so that was instilled in me. Whether I had moments where, maybe I'm not going to like church as much, or maybe I'm not going to do certain things as much, or actively reading, the Bible or things like that. At the end of the day, I always have faith.
Yeah.
And I always believe in God, and I always, uh, believe in a higher power or source, and that is helping me through things, or has helped me through things that I wouldn't imagine I would have gotten through.
Mm-hmm.
And like giving you that strength to do so.
Yeah.
It's hard to, you have your moments like, man, God, why is this going on? Why is this going on? But it's tough, man. It's tough. But I definitely believe in God. I feel like I'm slowly trying to grow a stronger relationship again.
Yeah.
Just because there's certain parts of you, there's certain things you just need in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Parts of your life and things that you just need to like have.
Yes.
To keep you stable, to keep you grounded, and all of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely one of those things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I would agree. Absolutely.
We came from that young, like
We did.
in our teens or whatever like that.
Yeah.
Meeting each other, meeting great. And we met some of my greatest friends and relationships through that.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Honestly. So there's still some great people and great relationships and great friendships that I'm super thankful for to this day. Still connected.
Me too.
They're supporting.
Yeah.
Look at us.
Look at us.
Supporting each other, or like there for each other no matter what,
Yeah.
So it's dope, Shout out Fed, shout out Eddie, shout out Serafina, Mark.
Yeah.
Mike, Hidalgo,
Geraldine,
Manny, Jalen, like, great, great relationships.
Yeah, absolutely.
And God did that.
God did that for sure. If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't know none of these people.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that now. And you, right? And Gerald. And I think that's what it is, right? Is like, it's so funny, like, because when you were talking about like maybe in the beginning, right? Like with the music, you were doing it for you.
Yeah.
Right. And then even like similar with like church and God, like as teens, like, at least for me, speaking for me, like as a teen, it was like, yeah, my mom was a Christian, right? And, was a part of this church. And then I was her child. So naturally, like, I'm there. But I don't know that I had the foresight to see, like, I would have, like, lasting friendship, right? And that's where it's like, sometimes what something starts off as in the beginning, you may not even be able to see the full scope of, like, what it'll be. Or, like, just how it will even transform you, like, down the line. So, yeah. Man. God
no
did.
idea. It's real.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing. Super grateful.
Yeah.
Super. Shout out Reggie too. Reggie was another one.
Hey, Reggie. Yeah. Yeah.
Dang, I had something else in my head I was gonna say about that. And it just slipped my mind like that.
No, that's okay. If it comes back to you, let me know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as we're winding down, right? Like, I do want to just check in with you if there's anything you want, like, the audience to know about, like, anything coming up with music, like anything they should look out for, anything dropping soon, or anything coming up, like shows or anything.
I'm working on I've been working on doing my own show. Because I haven't performed in a few months.
Yeah.
Just trying to lock in some other stuff, but I'm like dying to get back on stage. But I'm also there's like anxiety too about getting back on stage. It's like good and it's like bad.
Yeah.
Bad, but like it's nerves, a lot of nerves.
For sure.
So I've been rehearsing and stuff like that too.
Love
trying
that.
to prep, but I'm preparing my own show. I'm working on my own show.
Come on,
trying
show.
to get some artists on the lineup, that very talented artists that I know that I want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
That I will contact soon.
Yeah.
And have contacted some, and yeah, just working on my own show.
Dope.
Getting the venue locked in. Having Citizen DJ and do the whole set, because that's what we did a few years back.
Yeah.
And it was like one of the best shows ever. So I think that's coming up. I've been working on a EP.
Come on, EP.
Yeah, about 5-6 songs.
Dope.
That I'm trying to drop before May. And some more singles. And yeah, some more videos. I'm just doing a lot of planning, and I'm bringing my clothing brand back.
Come on, clothing brand.
Yeah,
I remember it.
Yeah, OP.
OP.
Yeah.
How could I forget?
Original people, opposite personalities.
Yes.
Yeah, with the fingerprint and all that.
I remember. I had my merch. I had my hat.
Yeah. So shout out to you. Shout out to people who've been supporting me when I started, and I used to cop hats in the city for like a certain amount.
Yeah.
At this spot, man. He knew my name. Every time I went in, and pick up my order, he'd be like, OP, like Chinese dude, really cool.
I know, man. That's right. They don't forget.
Yeah.
And
then to making my own website, to then, just expanding and like growing. Same way watching you grow and elevate. So proud of you.
Thank you.
And seeing his growth and progression is, when I was watching my clothing brand grow and just elevate, and like when I started like even selling from the crib and selling out in like 3 days.
Yes.
And doing like a limited stock and things like that. So I'm trying to get that up and running. Yeah.
That was a whole era.
So getting all that back up and running, doing it again. I've just been so locked in with the music and trying to establish so many things.
Yeah.
With networking and going to events and meeting people and having meetings and things like that.
Yes.
So I'm trying to get that back going though again, because it's something I really enjoy. And some people always ask me about and are waiting for. So that's coming soon too. And some features. A lot of features.
I'm excited.
Gotta finish some.
I'm excited. I'll be tuned in.
Yeah.
And all of the links and stuff will be, in the bio, to where people can like tune in and stuff. To what you have dropped so far. It's dope. It's dope music.
Yeah.
I've tuned in, I've listened. The visuals also are dope too. I feel like we're in the visual era where people got to see it, right? We were talking about that before we recorded. It's like people want to see the artist. They want to see the video. I remember music videos used to be a thing. I used to wait to watch music videos when I was younger. I feel like we're in that era now where people got to see it. So
MTV, 106 in Park.
Listen, we grew up on that.
Big.
We need it. We need it.
Top 10 or whatever. Like,
listen.
Those are big things, man. Super big things.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep elevating and pushing. You gotta keep going.
Absolutely. I'm so proud of you. Please keep going. Don't stop. You always will have my support because you're good at what you do. And last question, because I know the audience is gonna want to know, what is your ethnic background? Because they're gonna be like, is he mixed? Like, what he mixed with? He black?
When I speak, I get that a lot. Like when I rap and like speak, like I get that a lot.
Yeah.
When people don't see my face and stuff like that.
Yes.
So, but I'm Puerto Rican. I'm just Puerto Rican.
Yeah, boy.
Sometimes people think I'm mixed. Sometimes when people hear me rap and they don't see me, it's like, oh, is he black? Like, and I'm just Puerto Rican. But Puerto Ricans are mutts, man. We're mixed with everything.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I guess, that's interesting, right? Because I feel like, and I actually had seen a podcast recently about like, like your ethnic background, your culture. And I feel like, we're in New York, right? Being like, Latin and like, Latin is culture, right?
Yeah.
Like major part of the culture. Like I think like it's hard because there's always these like nuances and these like interesting conversations around like being an artist, being a rapper, and your ethnic background and things like that. But how much of being like Puerto Rican do you feel like plays a part in like your artistry, if it does at all? Do you feel like it matters to you to put that out there?
I feel like, damn, I forgot who said this, man. I was watching, it was one of my guys too, man.
Mm-hmm.
He said it in an interview, and I agreed so much with him. And I don't like, I kind of let people go off the mystery sometimes of like what I am.
Yes.
Off rip, like people will just be like, oh, he's definitely Spanish, or he's definitely this, oh, he might be mixed with this and that. Like, hey man, if you think I'm mixed, cool. That's fire.
Yeah.
But I don't want people to like, I want them to just look at me as like just me being the artist. You know what I'm saying? And getting to know me, and like doing podcasts or doing stuff like this too is like so important to me, so people can know that I am a person.
Yeah.
And knowing more about me.
Yes.
That maybe they can hear in the music, but it's different when you're just speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So I love being Puerto Rican. I love being Spanish, this and that.
Yeah.
Definitely like Puerto Ricans are proud.
Yeah.
And
we love Puerto Ricans, okay?
Yeah. Like, and I love the culture. I love everything. Like when my family grew up and certain people out there and things like that. I love Puerto Rico. Like I went there for the first time last year.
Dope. Oh my gosh.
And it was a different type of feeling.
Yeah.
Being where like my family is from. Mostly like on my mom's side, on my dad's side too. But like my mom's was born and raised out there too, and then came out here.
Love that.
So I think there's a feeling too, like when you look around and you say, oh, I'm from here.
Yeah.
Like, and anybody where they're from and they're able to visit there either for the first time or go back home and just like kind of like sit in that and be like, man, this is where I'm from, or this is. And I went for my birthday, and my mom's mom, my grandmother, she had passed away, but the burial was on my birthday.
Wow.
A few years back.
Yeah.
So me going out, and she was born and raised out there, Spanish first language. Yeah. So like going there and it being my birthday, and also the day that we buried her, and like being where she resided, and it was like a lot of emotions too.
Of course.
But it's an amazing feeling to like see where your people grew up.
Yeah.
And where your people are from, like, but, and then it's like also, it's cool to have that, and then it's cool to have like on my dad's side too, like both like families grew up poor and things like that, but grew like and elevated and made things for themselves. But then like my pops growing up in like the projects, and like family growing up in the projects, and I have like Puerto Rican and like Black on my dad's side too, of like I have Black cousins, Puerto Rican cousins, and like mix. Yeah. And then like even on my mom's side, like I have cousins that are like Italian and Puerto Rican, things like that. And my grandfather is like, you would never think that's my grandfather, because he's like, he was raw, like Puerto Rican from the island, super dark, like from the island. Then there's Puerto Ricans out there with blonde hair, blue eyes. Right. And they speak only Spanish. Yeah. So it's amazing culture-wise, and it's dope. Yeah. But I don't think it plays a huge part of me as an artist. Got you. And in what I make or create. I've tapped into trying to like make some Spanish music, things like that, just to like see how it goes. I got one joint out there like that. But I know that's right. I don't like, I love it, I'm proud of it, but I don't like emphasizing on it like it controls my music or how I release and do certain things. Yeah. But for sure. Well, the fans, and I go out there and perform one day and do this and that, and then a bunch of Spanish fans, Puerto Rican fans supporting me, of course. Absolutely. It's all love. That would be amazing. Yeah. No, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. Because I don't think we've ever talked about that too, like as friends and stuff. Yeah. I just be like, that's Steven. But I'm like, I know that you're from... Did you know us?
I don't even know that. I thought I'm over here. I was like, I think Steven Dominican, but I'm like, nah, you don't even give, because like I know Dominicans for real, and Dominicans is like they want you to know they Dominican.
Yeah,
they want you to know.
Yeah,
but shout out to Dominicans.
Puerto Ricans be
we love
chilling.
them. Chilling. And my brother, my blood brother, like we have the same mom. He's half Puerto Rican. So yeah, his dad is Puerto Rican, and we, our mom is Jamaican. So, yeah, it's interesting because like we kind of like, I don't want to put his business out there, but we reconnected with like his or he reconnected with his Puerto Rican side recently.
That's dope.
And seeing them, it was just like movie. It was a movie. They're so funny, and just like animated and like
absolutely
amazing though. Like it's like wow,
it can be a lot sometimes. It's fair. It could be a lot sometimes.
Listen, but it's dope though. That's why I feel like I feel like hearing that, I think is because it's a part of your identity, right?
Yeah, I think
it's that was interesting to me to even just ask that and put it out there.
That's why my artist name is not like my full real name.
Yeah,
because like my last name is like, you can just know off rip like I'm Spanish.
Yeah,
like so I don't want to be just portrayed as like a Spanish artist when you hear my name or something like that.
For sure.
I just want to be portrayed as an artist.
Yeah.
Or like a rapper or like artist, whatever. Like I don't want the first thing you think is you hear my name or you see this and that and it's just like Spanish rapper, like, or something like that. No, I'm an artist at the end of the day.
Got you.
Just focus on music, what I do. It's a part of me for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to be like so focused on. Because then I feel like that puts me in a box.
Understood. That makes sense to me.
And I don't want to be put in a box of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Especially like, I don't know. And I feel like that's the same thing with like, actually, nah. They like Fat Joe, Big Pun. They like super Spanish. Like, let it be known.
Yeah, they let it be known.
So.
Whoa, wait. Is Fat Joe, is he Puerto Rican?
Yeah.
Got you.
Super. And Big Pun, all them. They're super Puerto Rican. I do want to.
We love them though.
I would love to meet Bad Bunny one day too. Make music with him. Shoot, I'm dreaming, man, for the shooting for the stars, aiming for the moon.
Absolutely.
Rest in peace, Pop Smoke. But that's like a big thing for me. I just don't want to be put in a box.
Got you. Understood. So. Period. That's it.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much, Steven. Thank you for sharing.
Hey, thanks for having me.
This was dope. I love this conversation, and make sure you guys, where can they find you? Where can they follow you, add you, and listen to your music? So you can search Steve anywhere on all platforms. STV3, you'll find it through Google, Apple, YouTube, all of that. Like STV3, even for Instagram and all that. My Instagram and like TikTok and things is _ R.I.O.T. _ Riot. But if you search Steve, STV3, you'll find me and you'll see me there. And you'll see my profile picture, everything. It's a quick, easy find that I'm thankful for. So yeah. Absolutely. And on my link tree, once you find me on one, my link tree is in all my bios where you can find everything else. Takes you to everything else. Yeah. Absolutely. So yes, all the information will be in the bio, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in again. Your Mental Matters podcast, guys. We're out. Later.